Hi, my name is Kenyon Williams. I'm professor of percussion at Minnesota State University, Moorhead. I recently discovered that I had a real need for myself and my students to learn more about the world of electronic percussion and also practical use in terms of real-life application performance. Now, I myself am not a gearhead. I don't know a lot about the world of MIDI. I've experimented with it a little bit in the past in different areas and some recording areas, but never really in terms of real-life application. So I purchased a Pearl malletSTATION a few weeks ago with the understanding it seemed to be fairly plug and play, but I quickly realized that was pretty far from the truth. There's a lot of information that simply wasn't available in the manual, information that wasn't available online. I had to do a lot of experimentation and ask a lot of questions. And I'd like to share what I learned from people online as well as from Matt Jordan at Pearl. Thank you, Matt. Some of the information for how to do this instrument here for terms of a true beginner's guide. Someone like myself who knows basically nothing about electronics, nothing about MIDI, and wants to figure out how to make it work for a gig that they may have lined up in just a few short days after receiving the instrument. So, that said, I'm doing this incredibly quick, low budget, lots of flubs, lots of mistakes in my basement with my son filming on my iPhone, awesome YouTube video, mainly, there we go, to help us figure out how this all works in a quick session. So, 2 or 3 short videos to show you what I've learned. Number one, the first thing I discovered was what I need to purchase to go along with the malletSTATION. Now, as you can see over here, of course, you have to buy the malletSTATION. Along with that, of course, I then purchased a cross brace stand underneath, and then I purchased this M-Gear pedal right here. Now, one thing is important, and I quickly discovered, is that many pedals have some different issues in terms of when you press down for release or when you let go to release. So you want to find a pedal that has a switch that allows you to do that. This M-Gear does have that. So that way, of course, it works much more naturally to get it work with a vibraphone or chimes. Of course, as a percussionist, I like the idea of pushing down, which gives me an open ringing tone, and letting go that then releases the sound. So that was an important purchase right there, making sure I'm getting the right gear. That was about $24, $25 there on Amazon. The next thing, of course, that I really need to purchase, and people have a lot of questions about, is getting an amp that goes with it. This is a used guitar amp I found online. It's a Roland KC300. It's no longer for sale in production, but you can find lots of used ones online. I found a good deal. Works pretty well. Had to do a little bit of basic repair. Nothing really crazy. Just taking off some knobs, cleaning some gunk out with some electronic cleaner on the inside, unscrewing this back board. Nothing that was really big rocket science. But nevertheless, a good keyboard amp is vital. Not a guitar amp, as I was told many times. A guitar amp simply doesn't have the low end to handle things like timpani or lower pitched marimba pitches. So the idea of getting a good keyboard amp was important. Now, the other thing that I quickly discovered is need to purchase, of course, an adapter that could go with it. In this case, I bought 2 1/4-inch cables that then connect, as you can see here, via this little adapter unit right here. There's my 1/4-inch to 1/8-inch cables that then connect into a splitter that goes into a 1/8-inch connector. Why? I wanted something I could plug directly into my horrors iPad. I simply didn't want to purchase an audio interface. A lot of people online who know far, far more about this than me scream, you must purchase an audio interface, you must purchase that little $150, $200 unit that goes in between these. I simply did not want to do that for a couple reasons. Number one, budget. Number two, and this is actually the biggest reason, portability. The minute you get one of those, you tend to have something that has to be plugged in somewhere else. I wanted the only thing to have to worry about plugging in on a gig would be the amp itself. I didn't have to worry about plugging anything else, and also don't have to carry around more electronics. The idea for me getting a malletSTATION, honestly, was to have the least amount of keyboard gear I could take to a gig. Something that could provide marimba, chimes, xylophone in a Broadway pit. And every time I have to haul extra things out, to me, that's less justification for having to purchase an item. So I decided to get something that I would work with just on my iPad. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to plug in these 1/4-inch cables in the back. In this case, I'm going to use channel 2 because my channel 1, this is a used amp, it has a little bit of issues, so channel 2 is working pretty well. Plugging that in, I have my 1/8-inch cord. I'm going to plug this in directly to my iPad. Oop, here we go, on the side. Now, the other thing I needed to purchase that did not come with the malletSTATION, the malletSTATION came with this USB cable that connects directly to the back of the malletSTATION. However, you also have to purchase extra, and this is about a $20 to $25 little item, iPad adapter. In this case, going to my iPad, the lightning adapter, and on the bottom end here, collects the USB, and it's very, very specific in the Pearl MalletSTATION manual and online that you have to purchase a camera adapter, not just any USB. Now, when I looked online, there were camera adapters that had just USB and ones that also had this little extra lightning adapter. I went ahead and splurged the extra $5, big deal, to buy the one that had both connections. Why? This way I can plug in directly to my iPad, as well as, if I need to, charge it simultaneously. So if I get to the gig, realize, oh, my iPad's about out of juice, of course that would really screw things up, then I can plug it into the wall if I have to. Again, I hate that idea because I hate having to have more things to plug in, but nevertheless, I wanted to have that option just in case of worst case scenario. So, extra $5, I figure it's worth it, and especially at that moment if I start to panic. So I can take this lightning adapter, plug it in directly to my iPad, and now I'm set up and ready to go. Now, the last bit of thing I need to have to run this is, of course, a program that's going to run my sounds, because it's important to remember that the sounds themselves are not stored inside the MalletSTATION. The Pearl MalletSTATION is simply a controller. It must connect to some sort of computer. Now, this is where, of course, I'm going to get to different opinions that people are going to have. The best choice, and I have to 100% agree, would be to connect directly to my laptop, and my laptop would then run not this software, but simply would run MainStage for Apple or some other form of an audio program there, sample program. MainStage is a world-class program that has tons of great music. I've been told over and over that's kind of the Broadway standard. This is not MainStage. It's not what I'm using. Instead, I just have the program here that Pearl provided to help control and connect along with this MalletSTATION, so I can set my parameters. And I'll show you how to do that on the next video. On this one, though, I discovered, I personally, though, did not want to bring my laptop on gigs. Again, I wanted highly portable. I also wanted something I could give to my students and they could use. So for my percussion studio at MSUM, I was able to get a hold of a iPad that I can put inside my Pearl MalletSTATION bag. And by the way, here's the bag. This is a small little extra purchase that I purchased along with it. This is the lightweight version, not the heavy version. I wanted something that could be thrown in the back of a car that I wouldn't be worried about moving around. Again, portability is what I was shooting for. Getting a heavy case to use a lightweight instrument, and this is a great lightweight instrument, by the way, to me that just seemed to be fairly against the point of what I wanted. So light bag, something I throw in the car. Again, I'm not looking at throwing this under tour buses or anything like that. I'm not using it for a marching season, in which case I would definitely use a heavier case. But for what I'm going to be using it for, my students will be using it for light bag, something that can be moved around from performance hall to rehearsal room fairly quickly, fairly easily, and the occasional in-town performance that might take place across town, but not major touring. So, that said, I'm not using MainStage for my MacBook here, which again I've been told is fantastic, but I decided to go with portability. So what I decided to settle for then is the only thing that seems to really work on the market that has the sounds that I like, that I found out, or actually in this period, I should say the only thing on the market, period, that anybody recommended that goes with this is this little program here, Sampletank. Now, Sampletank, there's a free version online. Not a very great little introduction. The Sampletank introduction has very limited sounds, doesn't have hardly any keyboard percussion on it of any note. So right off the bat, as soon as you download the free version, you realize I'm going to have to buy a larger version. Now, I will show you on our next video how to use the software for Sampletank and then how to make that integrate with the MalletSTATION itself.